Games tonight, the Big Ten, they are really good ones. Illinois trying to bounce back from its Saturday loss in East Lansing. They will host Wisconsin. The marquee game, a huge showdown in Lincoln, 13th ranked Purdue visiting number 7 Nebraska. Lone meeting of the year for those two. That one at 7 Eastern. That's over on FS1. And Mike, let's start there. Purdue barely escaped against an Oregon team that has one conference win. I know what Rafael wants to see from them tonight. What do you want to see from Purdue tonight?
Well, I love that Braden Smith has developed into a player who can score, who can get you 25 if you need it. But I don't think Purdue is best when that is plan A. And you look at them over the last several games. He's only got 15 assists combined over the last 3 games. That's a problem. It's a team that functions best when the ball is going to other directions. This is the best facilitator in college basketball today, and possibly the best in the history of college basketball. When he is that player and he complements that with scoring, I think we see a better Purdue basketball team. We haven't seen that of late, and that's been a part of their problems. It's teams forcing him in that direction. Okay, we'll take your 20. We'll take your 25. But we're not taking a dozen dimes, because in those games, when he gets double-figure assists, Purdue is 9-1. That's the best version of Purdue basketball.
Well, that's the way you beat Purdue basketball, Mike. You got to turn Braden Smith into a scorer. When you look at Purdue this season, you go back to Purdue last season, when they face teams that has a strong enough guard that can get through those ball screens at the top of the key and not need help from their big, Purdue tends to struggle. You look at Connor Enright. He got through that ball screen, needed no help. You look at Donovan Dent. He was able to get through the ball screen. He needed no help. So when I look at Nebraska in this game, Sam Hoiberg and Jamarcus Lawrence, they've got to be into that basketball. They've got to get through the ball screen so Rink Mask and Burke Buchanan, so they do not have to help. You look at Nebraska, the way they funnel the ball screen, if you let Braden Smith score the basketball and dime you up, you're not going to beat Purdue. So the game plan has to be make Braden Smith beat us from the point of attack. Take away that drop pass to Trey Kaufman-Renn. You take away the drop pass. You take away that skip pass to the corner to Fletcher Lawyer, and you make Braden Smith beat you. I think Braden Smith is good enough to go on the road and get you 30 and win a game, but he's got to be a guy that if they are trying to make him score the ball, he's got to go score it. If they are trying to make him into a passer, he's got to be able to do both. You go back to the Sweet 16 a season ago, playing Houston, 15 assists, big time, but he wasn't able to score. When you look at Purdue, Braden Smith, he has to be able to do both for the Boilermakers on the offensive end.
The defense has been an issue at times for Purdue as well, although they did clamp down. Give them credit. Last few minutes of that Oregon game, they were great defensively. But I know there have been some challenges on that end of the court. And, man, Nebraska is going to make you work, because this is a team that can spread you out, that shoots the three so well. We saw Rink Mask back to being Rink Mask. What are the challenges of that part of the matchup? How does Nebraska's offense match up against Purdue's D?
Nebraska, they just find a weak link in your defense, and they pick on it every single time. So if you're Purdue, you've got to be locked into the scout report. You've got to be in gaps. You've got to know who you're helping on, who you're not helping off of, and you've got to play hard. When you watch Purdue the last few games, the defense, yeah, is bad. Rebound is bad. But they're not playing hard, and they're not playing tough. And when things don't go their way, they drop their heads. So when you go on the road, yeah, you got to be alert on those back cuts. You got to be alert on Rink Mask when he's at the top of the key as a driver. So I look at a guy like Oscar Clough. You look at Daniel Jacobson. They better be ready to move those puppies, because Rink Mask is not just a playmaker. He's not just a post-up guy. He can drive that basketball and get to the rim. So those two guys cannot pick up early fouls. And then when that shot goes up, you can't give Nebraska 2-3 cracks at it. You got to get that defensive rebound, push the basketball, and try to get something easy. But that's going to be the game. C.J. Cox on Price Sanford, and then you look at Braden Smith on Braden Frager. If you're Purdue, you got to keep the ball out of the lane and turn Nebraska into a jump shooting team.
This is the start of a really difficult stretch run for Purdue. They got 8 conference games left. 7 of them, I think you could argue, against NCAA quality teams. Teams that are either in Mike's field as of this morning or right there on the bubble. Okay, what about Wisconsin and Illinois? That game in Champaign. The Illini, of course, trying to bounce back from their first loss in nearly 2 months, hosting a Wisconsin team that is on game 2 of a rough road swing. They lost to Indiana in overtime on Saturday. The styles of play in some ways are pretty similar, Ray, in that like both these teams like to get up and down and both like to shoot threes. What are you watching here?
if Wisconsin get out of transition. Because you watch that Michigan State and that Illinois game over the weekend, Michigan State was 22-0 in transition points. You look at Illinois and their size, they struggle to get back defensively sometimes because they send 4 guys to crash the offensive glass. So if you're Wisconsin, you've got to secure defensive rebounds. Get the rebound and go. Find Blackwell, find Boyd. Push this tempo. If I have a feeling that Wisconsin, if they get going, if they compete on the glass, they can run Illinois out of the gym in transition. And then they start making some shots, and then they start getting into the lane. This is a team in Wisconsin that was built for games like this. Wisconsin, I see them as a team that's built for March. Two guards that can push the break, that can score at will. With that inverted offense, you put Nolan Winter at the top of the key. He can knock down shots. This game is going to test Illinois' individual perimeter defense. And without Kylan Boswell, it's going to be tough to slow those 2 guys down.
Well, the way I look at it is you don't have to slow those 2 guys down, Rafael. You have to slow one of them. Over the course of the last 3 games, you look at it, the last 3 losses, one of the 2 has had an okay game or a not great game. Nick, 7 for 19 against Indiana. He doesn't have to be shut down. He has to be inefficient. John has had 2 of those games where he was inefficient and Nick played very well. So for Illinois, just make sure that you don't get punished by both of them. You have to shut one of the 2 down. You have to make sure they're inefficient. They can take shots, they just can't make their share. And I think that Illinois has the ability to do that. They'd obviously be in much better shape in that respect if they had Kylan Boswell. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. But they have been doing a very effective job in general of shutting down opposing backcourts. So I think this is a really nice position for Illinois to be in where you don't have to worry a ton about making sure that the other guys on the floor, they're all capable scorers, but usually the source of offense and the source of victory from Wisconsin is going to be coming from those 2 guards excelling.
I also wonder a little bit about Wisconsin guarding the interior. It's an area where they've struggled at times. Illinois is just so massive. How do you see that part of the matchup?
Illinois is big, but they don't post up much. So I don't necessarily think Wisconsin has to worry about it a lot in that per se. But if I am Coach Underwood, I am looking at that, and I'm putting David Mirkovic in the paint. So I'm putting him on the block, and I'm letting him create out of there. So I look at that as a mismatch for Wisconsin on the block. But I look at it as though when you see Wisconsin defensively, you see where Illinois gives you problems. It's normally Keaton Wagner coming off a ball screen. He's getting that advantage. He's popping back to Tomislav Ivicic. He has his shot or he has that extra pass to the corner. But Wisconsin, John Blackwell, Nick Boyd, they should be able to get through that ball screen. Nolan Winter, a mobile big, he should be able to get back to that pop and be able to close out and take it out. But when I look at the other side, like Mike just was mentioning, I don't feel that way, Mike. I don't feel as though Illinois has been great on the perimeter defense. Jeremy Fears just gave him 25 and 16. And you look at Wisconsin, the guards that they've played, Connor Enright's one of the better defenders in the conference. Langston Reynolds, one of the better defenders in the conference. They play teams that have guys that can shut down perimeter guys. You look at Illinois right now, without Kylan Boswell, I don't know if I'm putting all that much trust in the freshman, Keaton Wagner, to shut down Nick Boyd. And then you look at Jake Davis, great player, great shooter, but I don't see him shutting down John Blackwell.
The one thing I would say about Illinois relative to the interior is I like the idea that you said about putting Mirkovic inside, because the one thing that Illinois has done, maybe more than they need to, is shoot that 3. They could really do a good job in this game of getting to the rim, and not just with the perimeter players, with Wagler getting all the way to the rim, but getting it inside as well. Big Z would be a key in that.
Yeah. The Badgers have the best road win in the country this year. They won at Michigan. This would be right up there, winning at Illinois.
I'm starting to feel like they can get it.
Well, yes, I mean, you seem to be talking yourself into it.
I did.
A little bit. It would certainly impact their bracketology, which